Hey everyone, the name's Ossy Flawol, and it has been 4 long years since my initial video on what I dubbed the Core Hub era of Portal 2's development. I've mentioned numerous times over those 4 years that I would be working on creating a follow-up video. There's a lot that the Portal 2 beta scene has learned since then, and I'm big on archiving information and knowledge. It's very fun to teach people what we figured out. However, every single time I wanted to make that follow-up, we've had discovery after discovery come by and fundamentally shake up our understanding of 2009 Portal 2. Actually, we've had our understanding of the entire game's development history change a lot over time. Any timeline graph of Portal 2's development you may have seen me use in earlier videos, yeah, throw all of that in the trash. It's only now that the time for that follow-up on the Core Hub era has finally arrived. But this follow-up hasn't been done in video form. It's been done in an incredibly special way, with a team of many very talented beta researchers, one that I've been part of for those 4 years. We have done what many would have deemed impossible. We have recreated Portal 2's lost 2009 beta.
Do you see a power object? The Enrichment Center invites you to pick up the power object and plug it in. Something will happen. Something wonderful.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We are currently experiencing technical difficulties due to circumstances of potentially apocalyptic significance beyond our control. However, thanks to emergency testing protocols, testing will continue. We'll provide instructional and motivational support.
Leaving the testing environment may be interpreted as an indication that you think you no longer require testing and, in fact, know everything.
Doubt very much that you're prepared for the terrible consequences of me going mental.
Aquarium. I want to go to the aquarium.
You've just experienced an Aperture Science Southwest team field, which temporarily increases your reaction time.
You can now download and play Portal 2 Project 2009, a restoration of Portal 2's Core Hub era as it would have looked in roughly October to November 2009 to the best of our ability. But hold on, before you shoot off to play the mod and leave me here, I have some topics I would like to discuss, because I imagine there's going to be some questions when you boot up Project 2009. Firstly, despite the levels, the assets, and everything having been recreated to the best of our ability over the course of 4 years, there is one thing that the released version of Project 2009 is going to be missing: completed voice acting. 2009 Portal 2 is home to many GLaDOS lines that went unused or were reworked in the final game. While we have a large majority of these lines, there's also a not insignificant amount of lines that we do not have the original Ellen McLean processed recordings of. There are lines we only have subtitles for. There are lines we only know the audio length of. There's lines we only know file names for, referenced in loose, strange locations within Portal 2's files. This required us to step in and have to write lines to fill these gaps, but perhaps more importantly, required we find a voice actor for GLaDOS to perform these missing pieces. While the voice actor we found, who was incredibly lovely in the work she managed to do for us, did record almost all the lines for the pre-hub section of the game, unforeseeable circumstances have brought them out of service, meaning we could not get completed recordings for the full campaign. As you've heard in the trailer, we ultimately decided that, for now, the remaining lines will be dubbed using classic old-school text-to-speech as placeholders. The team plans to go back in and update Project 2009 once either a voice actor is able to perform again, or if someone else talented enough steps up to the plate to do the remaining lines. This is similarly the case for the Paranoid Sphere, who has a ton of dialogue according to the leftover choreo scenes in Portal 2's files. A proper voice actor for him will be able to perform at a later time, but for now, little old Paranoid here is going to have his own set of placeholder recordings. Secondly, you may have just heard me say Paranoid Sphere, and you might be scratching your head a little. Wasn't he the predecessor to the Morgan Freeman Sphere? Where's Pendleton? Or Quint? Is the aquarium core safe? To that, I say don't worry, aquarium has gone nowhere.
Aquarium.
But for the other fellas, their placement in 2009 Portal 2 has revealed to be more up in the air, with a very strong lean to them not actually existing at all in this period of development. Seemingly fundamental facts, like the Morgan Freeman Sphere, turning out to have more counter evidence than actual proof, is part of why this follow-up has taken so long to do. And there is a ton more to talk about than just what personality cores featured in this iteration of the game. When even seemingly simple questions like what Portal 1 chambers featured in Pre-Hub, or how many courses were there, were all up for scrutiny, it makes a follow-up video feel incredibly dizzying to make. Especially considering the gap in knowledge that has been created in the 4-year time gap as we collected more and more information. This information ranged from a ton of places: paint over concept art analysis, playtester recounts we could verify, developer insights, digging into the literal bones of the game itself, and so much more. If there's a rock to be turned with Portal 2, you bet we've not only ensured it doesn't stay unturned, but we've scrubbed it with a fine comb to check for imperfections 50 times over and dissected its very atoms to be completely sure we found everything we can. You may ask then, why don't I just make a new video then? Surely there's a lot to explain about what we've discovered, context that needs to be given for the decisions we made in Project 2009. So, is there going to be a video? The runtime of this one seems rather short. Could I even fit that all? No, obviously I can't. And there's a very good reason as to why. Rather than try to complete a script that was barreling towards an hour-long video in the same vein as my Portal to Flash version documentary again that would have destroyed me in the editing process, we are taking advantage of the Source Engine's Developer Commentary mode. Developer Commentary mode allows for a twofold approach when it comes to talking about what the player is seeing. Firstly, we'll be able to directly tell you what we've recreated, showing screenshots for additional context, explaining the conclusions drawn, and how we've chosen to adapt certain things. We only have so many released images of 2009 Portal 2, with some of them not being in great quality. It means that a large majority of what we were able to remake ended up actually coming from analysis of the final retail levels, and even cut levels that were only seen in later eras of development but removed before the final release. Being able to explain all that as you play the mod, rather than you having to make assumptions on why we made the decisions we did, is going to make for a much more clear player experience. Project 2009 isn't meant to be just a mod that you play and gawk at like, wow, it's the beta! It's something you're meant to learn from, just like any of my videos. Secondly, there's a bunch of Project 2009 that is straight up just things we have nothing to go off of. No leftovers, screenshots, or anything. Just file names we can't dig into further. This means we've had to make some of our own levels, and Developer Commentary mode will allow us to easily clear up what are fabrications to fill the gaps and what are 100% real. And of course, we actually get to talk about these fabrications in the process of creating them. They're not just random stuff we've tossed together for the sake of it. We've done our best to piece together some of Valve's mindset when developing Portal 2, based on the actual Portal 2 developer commentary and other such sources of developer insight, so that we can then apply it to mechanics such as the slow feel, and then apply that to how they hypothetically would have made a level. If you find that even developer commentary isn't enough for you, we've got one more special thing when you beat Project 2009 in the form of an in-game playable museum level created by yours truly, complete with exhibits documenting some of the things we've had to restore, alongside other stuff that are little in-jokes we had during development. The separation between these will be obvious when you reach this place. So, with all that out of the way, go play our completed remake. Portal 2 Project 2009 is available to download right now from the team's very own increw.net. We'll eventually bring the mod to 100% completion once we cap our voice acting. But hey, the project only being 99.9% completed isn't that bad, is it? There might even be some bonus content down the line, so keep an eye out for future updates. Stay safe y'all. Peace.